me tell you, moving here to Vegas, I feel like I have found my place and my people. I don't know if Vegas is forever and my end place, but I feel like I found my people who are creative, people who are open, people who are vulnerable. And I think that's where I get the most out of what I'm doing right now, to find the people who are vulnerable, who trust me enough and have the conversations, those real conversations.
I think when you're born with so many different talents, it's hard to figure out what you want to do at the time. I never could figure out what I wanted to do completely with my life, so I've done everything.
What up? We're back with another episode of the T. Smith Experience with the Too Skilled to Fail podcast in mind. I'm here with the beautiful, accomplished Steph Payne today. Steph is my guest here in Las Vegas, but you are my guest in my heart because, trust me, Steph Payne, if I can see you more often and follow you, get in your bags and travel the world like you've been doing, I would. And just let me know where I need to be.
Oh,
okay?
Girl, I will pack you up so quick. Gosh, it's just been a journey, and it's really an honor to be here and just to talk with you. I don't do a lot of interviews and podcasts. I'm so private, I think. I hate social media, all that stuff, but when you asked me to do it, I kind of got excited.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, moving here to Vegas, I feel like I have found my people, my place and my people. I don't know if Vegas is forever and my end place, but I feel like I found my people who are creative, people who are open, people who are vulnerable. And I think that's where I get the most out of what I'm doing right now, to find the people who are vulnerable, who trust me enough and have the conversations, those real conversations.
Yeah.
In the Bay Area, people, and I say it all the time, I had people that were my neighbors I never knew, never had a conversation with. And I lived in the same one house for 16 years.
Are people nice to you here, though? Because I find that it depends on the day.
Hey, one thing I have about me, I'm always smiling.
Yeah.
I'm always smiling. So that does two things. That makes people either weary or they smile back. They're like, why is she always so happy?
Yeah.
What is her end goal?
Yeah.
What about her? We don't get, I'm a realist. So I get that, but I've learned that about myself all my life.
Yeah.
I'm going to continue to be who I'm going to be. I'm going to smile. I'm going to say hi. How are you doing? You might be like, she too nice. She asking too many questions. But I'm a people person. I want to dig and get to know you. Or to me, it's just another superficial contact.
Yeah. And I think that's what I like about you, too. You're not a superficial person. And I think that like energy attracts like energy. So if a person is kindred to you, you're going to feel that and know that about them. And some people, I think I said it on one of my lives the other day, I'm a Cancer, so I swim in really deep waters. I'm just a deep individual, very keen individual, and intuition is important to me. And if I feel some foul, I'm just out.
Yeah.
I don't need it in my
That's it.
space. I need people around me who I can relate to their energy. I need positivity around me. I love creative people and people that aren't so judgmental, because we all are in a way, but aren't so judgmental that you can't try to understand another person.
Right.
If the more you know about a person, the more tolerant you'll be of them. And
Absolutely.
I love learning about the people in my life. That way I know what makes them tick and why they react the way they do, whether they know what their purpose is and how I can help them get to that point and be an asset, So I see that in you too. You're very motivational and just motivated, period.
Absolutely. There's nothing I want to put out there. There's sometimes every once in a while I'll put something online and I'll think about it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it don't feel good in my spirit. I'm taking it down. It is not for anybody else. It's not, did I get enough likes? Did I get enough views on it? It's just, it's in my spirit. Maybe I felt like I was a little negative, the undertone.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, someone else on the outside probably had no clue what I was really thinking.
Right.
Or someone reading it. But I felt like, no, I know it wasn't good thoughts
What
that
is
were
your
behind
sign,
it.
though?
I'm Aquarius.
Okay, well, there you go. that's how you guys are. And me being a Cancer, it's like I have those same thoughts, but then the next thought is, well, I'm going to stand on business. You know what I mean? It's going to stay where it is.
Right.
But I think that conviction, if you act on it and you're true to yourself, that's all that matters.
And that's what it comes about.
Yeah.
Anytime I put something that I feel a certain way and I want to take it down, is because I'm like, yeah, you know what? This is not what I want to represent me in the long term.
Right.
One of the things I did many years ago, about 4 years ago, I was on social media from 2010. I really didn't bother with it before then.
Yeah.
I went back and I read all these old posts, and there were some of them that I just delete. I said, that, I knew what I was thinking really then. I'm talking now, I'm living my best life, and I sure was not. I was just probably going through a breakup and trying to let the dude know that I was living my best life. Just phony stuff like that. I just said, I'm going to delete this, because I would love if this was my tombstone, a very long tombstone, if you will, for time, timeline wise.
Right.
And someone was reading that and they were to get to know me, my children, my grandchildren, their, great grandchildren. I want them to be able to read about me and it's authentic and true.
Yeah.
And so that everything I post is something that I'm comfortable with. Now, if I post a story of me in a bathing suit, it might just disappear because I'm not gonna look like it might just disappear after 24 hours, and I'm okay with that. But otherwise, I try to just be authentic.
That's that overthinking thing. I think that, and I have that too. But I think that's part of what makes us want to be successful too. We're very critical of ourselves. I think it's a beautiful thing when perfectionism comes from within yourself and what you want for yourself versus trying to be perfect for other people.
Absolutely.
Because you never can be. So I think that overthinking thing is, as long as we keep it in check, it just can be a wonderful asset.
Well, you talked about profession and wanting to be professional and perfection in what you do. Let's talk about what you do. Let's get into it.
Okay.
So the first time I actually saw you was downtown. I don't know if you remember that day that I first saw you downtown. We were at Ash,
Tap.
I think it was, in front of Tap and Ash. And I looked at her. I was like, what does she do? I didn't even know you performed then. I said, she looks like she belongs on a stage. I promise you. I said,
good.
because KK didn't let me know like any backstory. She just introduced me as your name, as she should have, right? This is Steph Payne. Okay. I didn't know who Steph Payne was, but let me tell you, I was like, she looks like she should be on a stage.
Oh, that's sweet. Well,
I did.
I work with a stylist named Lorraine Fitzgerald, and I've been working with her from my beginning in Vegas. She said something to me that always stuck with me as far as the entertainment business goes, because I haven't been in entertainment my whole life like some people. I did everything else first. So she told me, she said, you want to play this game, you want to be in this game. She said, when you leave the house, you make sure you're picture ready, because you never know who you're going to run into, who you're going to meet, and people treat you the way you dress. Yeah. And that is so true. When I got to Vegas, there were some people doing fashion, but I found that niche for myself here because I found that it kind of had gotten relaxed. And when I came to Vegas, I thought I was just going to see all this high fashion. But you really got to go to like Cirque du Soleil or something like that to see it. Or there's a few people who really take pride in it out here that are performers. And I said, you know what? I can make a big impact through fashion here. And we focused on that a lot. So you saying that to me lets me know that I was doing the right thing that day.
You did the right thing.
Lorraine.
You did the right thing. Yeah, you showed up and showed out just to
Thank
come
you.
out, and it wasn't even you performing that day, right? You were just kind of hanging out that day. I do the same thing. I love fashion now. Granted, my fashion came by way of a business setting. I would go in, I see the corporate heads, and I'm looking at them. I'm like, okay, that's a nice suit. And my mother raised me on pumps and stockings and slips.
Yes, class.
Very classy. But that's all for my mother. That's in my head for my mother, how she raised me, and I'm okay with that. And so when I start dressing corporate and getting money to be able to afford corporate, because I started off at the thrifting corporate wear. My suit jackets, whatever you name it, I started off thrifting those things. And then I got into, wait, hold on. I'm styling. I'm putting this stuff together. I'm layering. I'm learning how to do all this. I said, let me do it when I'm off work and let me see how that feels. Because off work, I was in sweats and tennis shoes. I had kids. But I started doing that. And like you said, I felt the change in how people talk to you. And my kids call it pretty girl privilege.
Yeah.
And I say anybody, though, could do it. I don't care. Anybody is beautiful. Everyone's beautiful in their own way. But I feel like I get up and I look like I feel pretty. Like I'm like, I feel pretty. And I walk in the world. I show up in the world that way.
Yeah.
I might not be pretty to everybody.
Yeah.
But I show up as I feel confident today that I'm doing, what I need to do and to show up today.
Yeah. I think you're at your best self, too, when you feel confident. You do your best work. I think it's not about your physical looks, your features. I think it's about how you carry yourself and the confidence that you exude as a woman or as an individual, period, man, woman. I think that people treat you like not just how you dress, how you carry yourself, and that's one thing where I run into problems in this business is I know my value and my self-worth. Allow people to make me feel less than that. And sometimes when you encounter people that may not agree with you or want to take advantage of you or not want to treat you of what your value is, then it becomes a problem, especially when you're a woman and a Black woman.
Right.
And you're standing your ground, you know. But somebody like me is just, and every woman doesn't have this, or not every woman can operate in this type of spirit because everybody's life is different. And how I've gotten to this point, I can be confident in that and say, you know what, I don't need this at all. If you're not going to treat me how I want to be treated or what my value is, I can walk away. And what I pray for every woman is that we all get to that point. We're self-sufficient enough to walk away from situations where we're undervalued. Because what I'm not doing this year as a Black woman is making excuses for my confidence, my security, my talent, my gifts, or the way that I move. I've done that for too long.
Absolutely. I've worked in corporate situations with mainly men of non-color, non-color.
Yeah.
And have told myself kind of in my head again with my mother of don't be so loud, don't be so outspoken, because me as a Black woman, we are going to be more intimidating than someone else would.
Right.
I shunned myself from kind of speaking up for a long time. And this is, mind you, it's been years in the making, but there's absolutely zero tolerance for non-speaking up for me now.
Yeah.
Like my voice is so powerful and I understand that. And even if it offends you, I know I wholeheartedly did not say anything in malice to make you feel uncomfortable. I said things to stand up for myself. So if I have to speak up, it is in full confidence that I'm saying something that is going to be correct as it is going to come out. And move forward from there.
Right. Everybody can't handle the truth, though. It's hard to be around a real person. You know, a real person that will look you in your eye and tell you the truth. You know, whether it makes you feel good or not.
Right.
You know, because we can say things in a way that are nice, that are cordial, that are direct as well, and a person still can't handle it because it's not what they want to hear.
That's okay.
And this generation wants to be coddled, and I'm just not a coddler.
Yeah, that's okay too. Here as a kid, I was never one to really. I had to think about being more tactful in my speaking. And this isn't as a kid. This is as grown up. So in school, heard it. My mother would say it. In college, I would hear that I was a little bit too very much frank. So what I thought is what I said. So I thought about it and learned how to tactically say things. And now that I've learned, there's no way I'm going back. So I know two things. One, I'm going to say what I need to say now. I learned how to say it with tact. I'm a beast.
Yeah.
We're good. I'm confident. I'm okay. And we're going to be okay. Here, let me articulate exactly what I feel. And so for me, I have been in a kind of a flux of relationship-wise. I haven't really thought about being in a real wholehearted relationship. I had somebody for the last 10 years that's just my bestie, and that's okay. And I'm happy with that. Why? Because everything else is noise and it's confusing, but he gets me. He gets me. We don't have to be walking down the altar anytime soon or any of that. I have somebody in my life who gets me.
Well, isn't that what's important? You know, I think that you have to be best friends to have a lifelong relationship or a part of your life. That's a decade or longer. That's a long time.
That's a long time.
5 years of my life is a long time. I don't like wasting my time. So it's like, you know, I want to know you're going to be here. And I think that if that makes you happy, I think that's perfect. If it's right for you guys. Like, I know a story of a couple that went in the backyard and smoked a joint together and said, it's you and me.
It's you and me.
And have been together for almost a lifetime.
That is amazing.
You know what I mean? I think that is the commitment that's in your heart. And if it works for you guys, I'd rather live with my friend, you know, and have my friend be my companion.
Yeah.
And if we can make love, then we can do that too.
Right.
You know, but somebody that supports me and gets me, like you said, and loves, I think that's beautiful for you.
Thank you. And it's definitely, I can imagine for you you are in such a public space. For me, I do outward things, but you're in a public space. You are on pretty lights, camera, action for you. How is that being able to balance kind of like, one, you like your privacy, you're a private person, but you are out there on stage. That is, I don't know if that's alter ego on stage, but you're out there on stage and you got to come off that stage and somehow come back into reality with everyone feeling like they know you from on stage, but have no clue who you are in the background. How does that feel?
Absolutely. It's expression for me. It's me being who ultimately in my mind I am, but maybe I really am not in real life. It's vulnerability. You know, it takes strength for me. Yes, I'm not shy being around people, but I I don't like being around a lot of people, and I don't like being vulnerable. I don't like showing everybody my weaknesses and my feelings. I'm old school like that. You know, you don't complain about everything. You don't whine and cry about everything. And me having a military background, it's like, just get it done, do what you got to do, and go home. And so me being on stage is like, in my mind, I want to be this vixen, or in my mind, I want to be a mermaid today, or in my mind, I think that I'm a version of Diana Ross, or, you know, I get to express myself through my performance, through my song choice, whether it's my music or me singing someone else's. Through the fashion is just a huge way for me to express myself. Some people will create a painting. Some people compose music. I'm not a composer. I'm a producer in a way, but I don't compose. My musician friends that I work with express themselves through their instrument. You express yourself however you express yourself, you know, and that's my way of doing that. So going on stage is a very vulnerable place for me. But once I get through the process of the pressure that builds up to it, because I produce my own shows as well with AE Group, there's that pressure, and then getting on stage, getting through the first song and the nerves, and then getting to the place where I'm just like, okay, it's me and y'all in here.
Right.
And you're going to do what I want you to do today. You know what I mean? You're going to feel like I want you to feel. And I'm going to project an energy onto you that's going to make you forget about your problems for at least the 90 minutes that you're about to be here with me. So I try to make sure once I get up there and get through my nerves that my energy is good, that is sweet, that is loving, and that even if I'm going through stuff that day, which we do that a lot. Performers get up there and we have to perform through our pain and through whatever. We might have had a fight with our loved one right before we got on stage and be overly emotional, and we have to get up there and pull it together. Like anyone, you know, that has a job to do. But I think it's just a place of expression and a place for me to have an impact on an audience.
Yeah.
You know.
If you guys haven't heard already, got that from what she's saying, she's a singer, songwriter, she's a performer, she's a producer. Because I didn't introduce all of that, but Steph Payne does her thing when she is here performing, and here and then in other countries performing. So yeah, take all that in, because and I don't know how much kind of bashment or pride, but it's for you to be able to get up and perform anywhere. One of the things I see different performers, and I see you as someone who can perform in any environment. Not everyone can do that.
Yeah.
Who was that you were on stage with not too long ago?
Wayne
Newton. Let me tell you, I was going to go through everyone. Mr. Las Vegas. And when I saw that, it just always still made, I was like, she can perform with anyone.
Yeah.
And how you do it with such grace and class, right?
Thank you.
We have hood, well, all of us had some type of hood in us, but you get on that stage and you were just so poised and so graceful. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this woman.
Thank you. Girl, you're making me feel good today. Well, you know.
Deserve it.
Well, it's wonderful when people recognize your hard work and, you know, because it does take work to get to that point. I think with me, some of it's in the blood. I have my late grandfather, Jimmy Payne, was an actor. He was on the show Get Smart. He was in a movie called The Arrangement with Kirk Douglas. He even worked with the Rat Pack and did some stuff here in Vegas. And so I think it's been in my blood, partially that, partially growing up in the church, singing in the choir, being thrown up there to pray and to do all these things as a child, being in Glee Club, doing plays, and just on the way up. But I just took a different course first. I didn't go to performing arts school. I did the performing arts stuff in school. I have it in my blood. And I think when you're born with so many different talents, it's hard to figure out what you want to do at the time. I never could figure out what I wanted to do completely with my life, so I've done everything. I played sports. I was an athlete. I played college sports. I went to the military. I got married and had my children. We bought the home and did all that, and then I became a banker. I mean, I did collections and, you know, the money stuff, and then, you know, I went into ministry full time. You know, I was preaching, doing workshops, conferences, women's conferences. I released a gospel single, you know, trying to mix what I wanted to do and my relationship with God and the person that I was married to. And so the public speaking experience from preaching and getting up there and inspiring an audience, you know, to believe the word of God or to keep going or to, you know, like I say, I was preaching to ex-gangbangers, current gangbangers, ex-prostitutes in Compton, California. I had to explain that to people who were slamming Kendrick Lamar's halftime performance, and I don't want to get into that. I expressed myself already on my Facebook page, but it's just like if you don't understand understand where something comes from. Don't judge it. I understand how hard it is to come out of that life, even though I didn't live it. And growing up, I'm so well versed because I had a black side of my family and a white side of my family. I had a liberal side of the family and I had a conservative side of the family. So then you get this pot mixed together, and here's me. So I can function in any environment.
Absolutely.
My parents, both sides, taught me well.
So at what age do you want to become a performer? With everything you were doing, ministry and things like we're doing, how did it pop to say, I'm going to be a performer, I'm going to get on this stage and I'm going to perform outside of a choir, which is two different things. Even if you had a lead in the choir, it's a different environment. Choir would be like, even if you were not good at it, they'd be like, yes, baby.
Yes.
Yes, baby. Do that. Go ahead.
Well,
Praise
that's that
God.
confidence.
Right.
Yeah,
They will pump you up in church. Now you were in the real world. You were on stages. And what was your first experiences like?
I didn't come here to sing. I moved here for an easier life for my family. I was caring for my grandmother who had dementia, my late grandmother, God rest her soul. And I took care of her for about 7 years. And in California, a lot of California, and I'm so sorry, Las Vegas. I know you guys hate us California transplants. I love y'all though. I have contributed to the community. I have paid my dues to live here, okay? But I moved here for more space, less taxes and things like that for my family. But I always had the intention of putting into the community, not just taking from it. So when we got here, it was more for family reasons. I had lived here in the early 2000s. My kids were born here, but I was not doing entertainment. I was being a mom and a wife. And so when I came here, I just started going out, ended up going to an open mic. Bobby Rose at the Eclipse Theater when he was doing that, when it was the Eclipse. It was a black-owned theater then. I had a friend, Greg Rose, from the Rose Brothers. Back in the day, they had a group called the Rose Brothers. And he said, you go over to my brother's open mic over there. He said, I'm going to tell him you coming too since you sing, because I was a fan of Greg Rose. And I went over there and they put me up there on the mic and I sang. And then I had someone approach me and say, hey, are you looking for work here? I said, no, but I'm down to do something. What's up? And then I got my gig with a band, a lounge band, and I did about a year with them, I believe. And we did some stuff out of state. We did long gigs. It was like a boot camp. I mean, we would be gigging for 6 hours in Wendover. Wendover, Utah, Nevada. Yeah. It's like the edge of, I did the Smoky Lounges. I did the Arizona Charlies. I did the Fiesta. I did Texas Station. I did all of that stuff before I ever made the Smith Center stage, or Reynolds Hall stage, the Carnegie Hall of Las Vegas. So I did all of that first. And in doing that, that's when I kind of figured out, hey, I think I'm going to pursue this, because I was just going to do my own music as an artist. But I really love performing. And I got a taste of it. And I said, you know what, let me see what I can do with this. And, it broke up my marriage, because my husband was, we were in ministry, the preacher, he didn't really want me doing it. And so then you have to decide, do you follow your heart and what God is telling you should be doing? Or do you sacrifice that for the person you love? It's a very emotional subject for me, but it's life. I chose what was in my heart. Okay. And he chose not to support that. He tried though. He really did try. It just didn't work out. And so there was no way that I was going to fail.
Absolutely.
Not if I lost a love like that.
Right. You got to make it count at that point. Now make it count. I walked away from my marriage. But here's the thing though, too. I mean, you could have discovered so much more about yourself, which you probably did. Yeah. But you're discovering so much more about yourself by doing that walk away, because it wasn't something easy. It's easy if the relationship was tarnished and you were ready to get out anyway. That'd have been easy.
No,
you walked away from something hard. So there's so many lessons in that you had to learn, I'm imagining.
Well, I felt that he walked away first. It was too hard for him to deal with. And I was at a point where just give me some time, give me a couple years to see if this thing will work. I even left that band and started my own so I could be in charge, because as you know, working with men here as a woman and doing backgrounds in a boys club band, pretty much, it gets a little rough. And I did everything the right way, but I decided, I need to go on my own in this town, because I'm not going to be disrespected. I'm not going to be treated like a hired hand or spoken to that way. So, and I wasn't broadcasting all my background for demanding respect from people. I just wasn't going to deal with it. I think along the way, people started learning about me and realizing, okay, there's more to this woman than she just wants to sing in Vegas. And I started earning more respect just through my work on my own, So that's kind of how it evolved, was for me just going to an open mic, Bobby Rose's open mic, and progressing from there.
That's amazing. It sounds like one of those overnight stories, because you weren't looking for it.
No.
You were just out for the night. You could have chose not to go that night.
Yeah.
the next night you could have been at that same event, but the right person wouldn't have been in the room,
Right.
or the right energy. They were distracted. They weren't thinking about it, but that was a connection. I love that.
Yeah, and so it went, there's different circuits. There's the urban African American circuit. There's the more artsy patrons of the arts, Smith Center type musical theater circuit. And there's something in between. There's the rock circuit. There's the jam band circuit. There's, my journey was moving up through those ranks. I've done just about everything here, except for Cirque du Soleil. And the only reason I didn't do that was because I missed my callback.
No. But Cirque du Soleil, she is ready.
Yeah.
She's available. Maybe. I don't know.
No, I got a call for MJ1, and I missed the email after my video audition, and I'm like, oh my God, I missed that. But what I was saying was, I've done so much here. All the staple shows. I did the rounds. But most of the time it was my shows, producing my shows, promoting my own shows, four-walling with AE Group, my management team, who is 2 people, and my stylist, who's also my advisor, my friend. She, 4 people just created this brand based on me and shot up to the top of the elite entertainment in Las Vegas.
Absolutely.
But that was never my goal.
Okay. Well, you naturally made your way and paved your way through this, and so I'm happy to hear that for you. What is the biggest thing, I guess I want to say, what is the biggest accomplishment you think you have made through the music industry, the music impact, the biggest impact?
The biggest impact, being a strong woman in the industry who doesn't tolerate any bullcrap from anyone. I think that women need to be more like that. I think that a lot of time, and I'm not trying to gender bait, because I love men. Don't get me wrong. My father has always been present in my life, raised me, and I love men. I get along better with men, platonically as friends, because women always end up being weird with me. I don't know if it's me. I don't know if it's them. I don't know if it's the pretty girl privilege thing. I don't know what it is. But women always seem to get weird with me, except for a very small few that stay in my life. And I have such a big heart. I feel like I'm a good friend. But I feel like sometimes people don't understand me. So they feel like maybe I should call more, or I should do this more, or I should do that more. But I'm not that kind of friend to people. Right. If I don't hear from you for a year and you call me, girl, I'm so sorry. I've been busy. I got married. I did this. I'll be like, what, girl?
Right. Let's catch up.
How have you been?
Right. Let's catch up.
I'm not going to be like, why haven't you, girl? You don't call. This is life, honey. Right. We have to live it.
Yep, I do that. I've always been one to have. I've been the loner. I've done so much though by way of being a loner. So I appreciate it, because if I had a bunch of friends and a bunch of opinions, I'm gonna call that, in my ear, I think that would slow me down a lot, because I would have probably focused on what they had to say, their thoughts or opinions and things. So I kind of internally do things. So when I am a friend, and then all of a sudden I'll be gone, and my gone could be out the country. It could just be at home.
Girl, please tell the people. That's how it is. You have to be that way to be successful.
Yeah.
You can't pay attention to everybody else all the time. You have to. This is why most inventors were men. And given there are women who didn't get credit, or men know how to focus in on one thing and get it done.
Right.
Women's brains are all over the place trying to multitask. That's how we're made and wired. Because we're mothers, we're wives, we work, we do all of this at once. So if you can tune people out for a minute and just make what's most important your priorities and focus on what you're trying to get done, you're gonna be successful. And people who don't have that mindset will never understand that.
No, they'll be always looking and trying to figure it out on how to do it. How could I do it? It is going internal. It is thinking about what you really want and setting goals. I have actually had to add things to my plate to make sure I complete things that I started last year. So add things, meaning make it happen steps to make things happen. Like, what do I need to do first? What piece of this am I going to complete today in order to get this out? I'm going to set up the appointment to be in the studio.
Yeah.
I'm going to find my logo. I'm going to, each and every step to even get to here today. But I had to block out everything and anything going on. And this included my children. This is why it's hard on the relationship. It's ship side is really hard. I had a friend of mine. He was like, "What do you really want? Do you want to get married again?" I was like, "You know what? I can't tell you that today, because that's going to take some planning and prepping and things like that. Because I've already been married. I've been there, done that part. There's so many things I want to do, but that means I have to include somebody else, because I would want to. My partner, I would want my partner to be involved to an extent, to where I'm not just randomly saying I'm about to start a new podcast tomorrow. I'm about to start a new business tomorrow without having a discussion with my partner. I'm not asking though.
Right.
That's where
like God gave me this. I know what I'm supposed to do.
I know what I'm supposed to do. So I'm not. That's the hardest part. I'm not
Yeah.
asking you for this. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
include you in this, which is really hard. And so my brain right now, I don't know if I really have the capacity to really focus on someone else and kind of include them as much as I think they would need to be, respectfully.
You have to have the right partner.
Yeah.
You said the one you have understands you. It's better to have someone that's a friend that understands you, that you can be intimate with when you got time. You know, that understands your focus, your goals, and believes in you.
Yes.
Is the key. Like, I understand what's inside this woman. I understand her talents, her gifts. I know what she's capable of, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to support her in that and see where this goes. That's all you need, is a good partner who sees you, to be seen by somebody.
And stands back and is okay with you being in the limelight.
Yes.
That's really what it's about. And people say all the time, well, why aren't you guys married? Well, there's a whole nother laundry list of that.
None of
Just
your
let
business.
it be.
You know what I
let
mean?
it be
Like,
where we at right
yeah.
now. This is my happy place. This is where I am right now, because there's so many different avenues I can go in a relationship. You know, friendship. There's the companionship. What do I really want? And it is the companion. It is someone to kind of look to your right and look to your left. There's somebody there. Growing up, my mother was she was my main person who was consistent.
Right.
So who was consistent? My mother was consistent. She was someone who was always there. At home, you get off of school, she was there at school. She didn't work too much, so she was there. And so I've looked for my consistency. I think that's comfort enough. I'm good, move forward.
Well, see, with you, and that makes sense. When you grow up having consistency, it becomes a requirement. You know, with you, it was your mom. With me, my mom was there, but my father was the consistent one. So that's something that I most certainly expect out of a man.
Yes.
If you are inconsistent, honey, it's just a deal breaker. If you are not protective, it's a deal breaker. If you are not present when you're with me, it's a deal breaker. Like, it becomes annoying to me. So I think when you grow up with certain things, you're not willing to settle for not having that in your partner.
I love that for you. And oftentimes, there's the whole daddy's girl. You hear that all the time. Or unfortunately, there's those who didn't have their father in their lives. But I would say my dad, he was not consistent with everything. However, he is that one person that I don't know. Growing up, I was the prettiest girl in the world in my daddy's eyes. And that's all that mattered. I could have been crazy. I could have been nappy hair, just dirty, and my dad would be like, Nina, you are so beautiful. And that was all I needed. So I never needed the reassurance from a man or a woman, because my father was so, even right now, he said, I just was showing my partner he calls my partner, I was showing my partner a picture of you, and he said, oh my gosh, I just said, my baby is so beautiful. Ain't she beautiful?
Yes.
But he's always done that since I was such a little girl, that I never needed the reassurance from a man. And I definitely don't need the reassurance from like the social media. So when people say things, I'm like, oh, thank you. I feel like I'm being bashful. I'm like, thank you. But my daddy click on there and say something, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it makes you feel like the most beautiful girl in the world. And I had that too. And it makes such a difference in what you accept. Some of these young ladies now are so misguided, especially in the entertainment industry, the representation that Black women have. It's just, to be honest, I can't believe where we've come to with our representation. There's literally no class. The Black women who are getting the most backing from the industry are not good for our daughters to follow as examples. That lifestyle does not represent all of us. It doesn't represent the vast majority of us, especially in our age range. We need back the Lauryn Hills and the Angie Stones again. Rest her soul. You know, we need the Fantasias right now. We need the Whitney Houstons. You know, regardless of how people live their lives behind the scenes, we need those positive examples forward with class. You know, and dignity, and know how to operate in different environments. You know, and be well spoken, and not take pride in being trashy. You know, it's really sad. And so you asked me earlier about the impact that I want to have. That's another impact that I want to have, is showing young Black women and young girls, period. Because now it's not just young Black girls. It's other races following the culture. You know, it's affecting everyone now. And I'm with hip hop culture. Don't get me wrong, but I'm old school, like I said. And it's only so much I can say.
Right.
And so it's like, I want to be an example too. I want to be a classic. This world, I posted a quote from Iman: "In a world full of trends, I want to remain a classic." And I want young girls and women to know you can do that and be successful.
Absolutely. It's definitely hard being real because the industry standards is allowing it, right?
Yeah.
It allows it, it promotes it, it hypes it up. You are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. The more, I'm going to say, the raunchy, crazy foolishness that does happen, you know, in our eyes, it gets more clout than anything. That's what people are gravitating to. That's what people want. People, not all people. That's what a lot of people want to see. And it's okay. And I mean, reality TV back, I don't know how many real world, when real, you know, from the real world days and on, it showed a little bit more and a little bit more. Back in the day, we didn't see artists. We didn't see behind the scenes with Whitney Houston. We just saw her class. And when she did that reality show, I think that was just a big eye opener. I was a huge fan, and I still remained a huge fan even after she passed, but I was a huge fan. And then I got this little, not Whitney.
Yeah.
Not America's Beauty, right? And it just showed a difference. It showed the reality of it. And there's so much more trash in the background. We can talk about the church folks. There's so many people in the church that are not living the life that they project on, whether it be online or in the church. They walk out of that church, they're a different person.
Yes.
They're going to cuss you out as soon as they drive out that parking lot. And so I think that makes it really hard if you have so many people supporting what the industry, you know, is allowing.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You said something really important about church folks. Because I won't say I left the ministry, but I left doing it full time. I'm always going to be a minister in some way through my relationship with God. But I think that people forget sometimes that church folks are just like everybody else. We're going to church because we need it. Some of us are going through tradition and don't want to be there. But majority of people are going to church. They need that every week. They need that word every week. They need that prayer meeting every week. They need that Bible study every week. It's like going to AA. You trying not to be an alcoholic. You're an alcoholic, but you're trying not to succumb to the condition. When you're going to church, you're trying not to succumb to the human condition. You know what I'm saying? That we all have. And that's their way. That's our way of dealing with our human condition, with the human condition, dealing with other people. Other people will drive you crazy. Just dealing with them.
Right.
You know, and don't let it be someone who's been to prison or someone who's lived a street life or someone who has some extreme trauma or something like that. To deal with people in this world these days, some of us need church.
Yeah.
Some of us need counseling, therapy. Some people need medication. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we can't expect church folks to be any different.
Yeah, and I feel like, for me, I'm putting myself in. Going to church was something that I had been doing since I was a little kid on my own. I have said it again on the show before, where I would go with a friend. Whoever was going to church, I wanted to go. My mother raised us Catholic, and from Catholic schools on Saturday, catechism on Sunday, we would go to church here and there, you know, mass, and then, or later on, I grew up going to church with my godmother, and she, you know, Christian church, and I'm like, oh, praising, they singing, they falling out, they having a good time at church. And it was a fun church, and I was like, oh, I definitely could do this. Now, I don't know about that catechism, but I can do this now. Those nuns hitting you with the hand, I don't know, in the hand. If you ever heard that with the ruler,
Yes.
I was one of those kids that get hit in the hand more than once, and so I remember that. And I started going to church, but my going to church was more so I loved the way I felt at peace at certain times with the prayer, but I think that came by way of the calmness of Catholic churches.
Yeah.
And then you got into the baptism, and I was like, "Ooh, if I can still feel this good, and I get to sing because I joined the choir, and I get to feel all this." I felt like this. So in Catholic churches, and I'm sure there's all types of the gossip and different things going on, but I was so young, I did not see anything. So I was certainly jaded when I started going to church, and I'm now a young adult in my 20s at this time, and I meet people who are just nasty and catty. Somebody was sleeping with somebody else's husband in the church, and this was going on. You got a kid by this woman. You two both go to, oh no. I said, I felt like I was on an episode. I said, I just got to get away from this because I came here to just kind of be centered and one with myself, and I learned that I can do that at home. So my prayer room is a closet or my bathtub or in my car right now.
Yeah.
And I'm so much at peace doing that.
Yeah. These days you can have church at home. I don't go to church every Sunday.
Right. You can listen to it. You can stream. Those things I love to do too. Yeah, that's good.
And it's as long as you get what you need. That's where I'm at now with mine. I don't need to be in church every Sunday. I did that for a long time. And where my relationship is with God now, I learned a lot of things doing ministry too, through my study, through studying back to the Greek and the Hebrew, through the person that I was married to. I learned a lot. I learned a lot just in my own study and my relationship with God. If you be quiet with him and spend some time with him, sometimes you hear from him. He gives you epiphanies. He gives you revelation. He gives you answers that you've been looking for. And even if you're not a Christian and you have some other type, maybe you just meditate, maybe you're Buddhist, maybe you have another way that you view your higher power, or don't have one at all. Whatever your spiritual practice is, be quiet with it. Do it. Spend the time with it. Journal.
Right.
Write down your goals and your dreams. I take time to visualize it. I will turn the lights off, lay down in my bed, and visualize where I want to be.
I do that all the time.
That is so powerful.
I've done that since I was a kid.
People, yes, I repeat it to myself. I speak it to myself and affirm myself in the mirror. And I take my implied actions every day, like you said. Whether it's sending one email, I'm going to do something towards my goal.
Right.
And so I think that as long as you're at peace and you're getting what you need to do that practice for yourself, and you'll get more answers. You'll have clarity. You'll be more focused, more confident. So that's where I'm at with my spiritual space right now. I trust God for everything.
I love that.
Yeah.
With all that you've been doing, and you've been in so many walks of life, with everything you put together, from the military background, you singing, to church, you working in the bank, I always say that everything you do leads up to, making you who you are. What is the biggest, impact and purpose? So 2 questions. So impact on yourself, and then impact from the things you've learned, and then purpose in life. What do you think that's about?
I think the biggest impact my journey has had on me is with boundaries. They're so important in life. Setting boundaries and holding them up. You're not letting people cross them. And when they do try, or actually are able to, fix that, I eliminate people who cross my boundaries. You had KK Mala on here. Hopefully you have her back. She said, girl, your cutoff game just next level. Yes, it is. I've learned about boundaries and protecting my space. When you deal with large crowds of people and so many people around you and so many opportunists, in this business is so many opportunists just wanting to leech off of you and use you and toss you aside. So I think that's the biggest impact, is boundaries and protecting my space. And what my purpose is here, my purpose has always been to be a servant. If you look back over my life, as we say in church, when I look back over my life, I've always been a servant. I've always been an entertainer as well, whether it was playing sports, going to the military, serving the country, serving in ministry, serving as a wife, serving as a mother. Now I'm serving the community on stage as an entertainer. I'm sharing my gifts to inspire people. So I think my purpose here is to be a light, to be an inspiration, and just to exude love to people. That's what God is. God is love. So my purpose is to do that in the limelight in some kind of way. Obviously, that's where God put me. That's what he gave me as gifts. And my purpose is to show his love to people through those.
What's your biggest opportunity that you've had, and where do you want to go next with the opportunities?
Oh my goodness. Well, I want to go into film from here, and I'm working on that
Did
now.
you dabble? Okay.
Yes. I've begun that process already, so that is the next step. I'm already doing it, which is great. I'm working on an album as well. I'm almost done with one, and then I have another album lined up as well that I'm going to be working on. So right now for me, it's about doing my original stuff and creativity and things like that. But from my biggest achievement, oh gosh, one was being a principal in God Lives in Glass on the Reynolds Hall stage at the Smith Center with Keith Thompson. He hosts the Composer Showcase at Myron's, where we get to share our original music. I never thought I would be on that stage. That's like Las Vegas's Carnegie Hall. It's so beautiful in there. And also performing with Mr. Las Vegas. That's amazing. He's just so sweet.
That's amazing.
I'm so blessed and fortunate to, mingle with people like this. practice, and good people too that will share knowledge with you, that will empower you,
Right.
that will support you.
Right.
He didn't have to sing with me or anything like that. This man has had such a long, illustrious career. He's one of the last men standing
And we're
from the
talking
Rat
about
Pack
Mr.
era.
Wayne.
Shout
Right.
out to Mr. Wayne Newton. I love you. Thank you so much for your support. But those are two highlights: being on Reynolds Hall stage and singing with Wayne Newton. Never in my life, honey,
Right.
did I think.
I'm thinking, right, as a kid, you're sitting there, you've probably seen him on TV, heard about him, heard his name, seen him in
Yeah,
movies
growing
and
up.
growing up, and then now you're sitting on stage. Well, he's taller, sitting on stage
Yeah.
next to him and singing. That had to be just an aha and memorable moment forever.
Honey, Wayne he had an appreciation ceremony at this venue, and I won't go into the story. It was funny, but I had an invitation, and I worked this place, and they didn't know it. They didn't know I was invited to the thing, and I was supposed to work that night. They called me off and said, we got a last minute thing, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, so I showed up through my invite.
Yes.
I just wasn't going to be able to sing for him. And they were looking forward to it, actually. And so that night, he still called me up on stage. They had another person up there singing and everything, but Wayne is so thoughtful and so sweet. He still called me up there, and I
Right.
still got to sing with him. Stuff like
That's
that.
amazing.
Going to his show, and he acknowledges me from the stage and stuff. He acknowledges veterans, and he's just so thoughtful and sweet. He always smells the same. He always hugs you. He's just so consistent, like we were talking about.
That's what we need in business and life in general, having that consistency.
Yeah, and me as such a perfectionist, who better to be around than someone who has made this kind of name for themselves in entertainment from a child in the era of my grandfather's days, where I get this gift from.
Right.
Through the blood anyway. Who better to be able to be in the company of than someone who's had such a long entertainment career?
Right.
That's how God works for me, though. He puts me in spaces I need to be in ways that I least expected.
Right. And it all comes by way of how you show up in the world and how, again, your professionalism and how polished you are when you walk in the room. Again, from styling to everything that you do and then putting off a really great show. Your background in singing came by way of being in church. And that's, some confidence being able to sing. But now you have acting that you're trying to do right now. How are you going to build that acting career, and what do you plan on doing to make you the best Steph Payne on camera that you could be?
Well, I have one of the greatest mentors I could possibly have at this point in my life, and his name is Mr. Ving Rhames. He's been very gracious to me. He's a fan, okay? So he loves your girl.
Right.
And he's very supportive of young people in entertainment. And so I have people like that who are just like Wayne, just people in my life that are on a very high level that can help me. And God has put them into my life, and so I just have the right people around me to help me get to that point. But I'm not trying to be a big Hollywood actress, because I am very private.
But did you try to be a singer and sing on all these stages you did?
No.
Either. You're not trying, but you're putting yourself in a position, so whatever happens is going to happen for you, not to you.
Yeah, it is. And I feel very blessed, and I don't want to throw the opportunity away when I have such wonderful mentorship.
Right.
I'm going in a direction of having my music in movies, and maybe I'll be performing my own songs in a movie, in a scene, or maybe I will be, something like that, like a singer in a movie, or think of that direction. Because my acting experience has been more like, let's just say I've done some musical theater, not so much film. So that's a whole, and I don't want to take away from the actors who have actually gone to school for that and trained for that, So if it happens, it happens.
Right. You're going to do what comes natural.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we have had all types of discussions about your career and different things you're going on. This show, I always say, is about too skilled to fail. And in everything you talked about, and all the different things you have done, you can always go back to any of these jobs and career paths that you have been. But I want you to kind of grace the audience a little bit with what too skilled to fail means to you as we wrap up.
Too skilled to fail. I mean, be the best you can be, even if you can be a jack of all trades and master of none, just do your best, educate yourself, and show up. You know what I mean? Like I said, whether it's your dress, your confidence, all that, be on point. Don't take things seriously. You know what I'm saying?
Timing included. Be on time.
Be on time. Put some effort into it. That's all I can say, honey. And trust God. Have some faith. Get your goals together. Yeah. Be intentional. Now, I think that's the best way to say it. Be intentional with your purpose, with your goals. And if you have all the skills that God gave you half of what you need, if you go get the rest of the skills, how can you fail?
Right.
If you're intentional. So that's what I can say
You are
about
definitely a living, walking testimony to that from everything you do. I never want to sound like so cliche and because I'm not that type of person, but I feel like everything you've done has led you to what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have this story that you shared that was like, I had to struggle for everything I had. It was one of those things. I just prayed for it. I stood in the right position.
Mm-hmm.
I set myself up in the right places to be given the opportunities that you have been given. So
Yeah.
I love that for you. Everyone has a different story. This is why I like talking to all types of people in all walks. I love hearing the struggles that got you to where you needed to be. Not to that I love that you went through the struggles.
Yeah.
And I love to listen to the stories of just all down and all right resilience. Like, I'm going to stay focused and steady to what I've been doing and see what God has for me. So I love that for you.
Absolutely.
Let everybody know where they can find you, girl.
You can find me at stephpaynesongstress.com. That's STEPHPAYNE songstress.com. And if you want to see me perform, you can check me out at the Torch Cigar Festival. And you can find tickets to that at torchlv.com. That's sponsored by 91.5 KUNV and it's produced by AE Group. And I have a 45-minute show that night. So please, you guys, come check me out. And I'm mostly active on my Instagram. And then you can check me out on my website. Yeah, that's it.
What's the Instagram handle?
At S Payne Music.
Okay. All right, girl. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Please go check out Steph Payne. You can go see her at a couple different spots within here in Las Vegas. But again, she is an international singer. And soon you'll be seeing her on TV in a movie, I'm sure. And I can't wait to see that. All right, girl.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.